I'm not a big fan of PowerPoints, but that's just me. I rarely use PowerPoints uh, because I teach physics and I teach chemistry, which are pretty hands-on subjects and, involve sorts of practicals, problem solving. So, personally, I'm not a big fan of PowerPoints, but as I said, that's just me. Um, there are lots of PowerPoints people use, very interesting. At the same time, as you would have seen on my, one of the ways I marketed this particular webinar is the notion of death by PowerPoints has become quite popular these days. Now, what does it mean? This means that these are the PowerPoints that people present. They are very long, very, very wordy. There's about thousands of words in there that we can't read. To be quite frank, boring. Now, as a head of faculty myself here in Melbourne, one of my job is to actually go and do learning walks, which is, we get to go and sit in teachers' classes and observe. And quite often you feel sorry for the students, because if I'm getting bored listening and looking at those PowerPoints, I mean, think what 13, 14, 15-year-olds are going through. And if that's a standard pattern, it's the same old way in which a teacher presents. It's a hard thing to sit through a boring PowerPoint. Here's one of the other danger. Just because we have made a PowerPoint and we have read through the PowerPoint, quite often we interpret that we have covered the curriculum. Now, that's a danger, because we may have made a PowerPoint, we have read through the slide, and therefore we have covered the curriculum. That's not quite right. I think if we're not careful, PowerPoints can be the equivalent to the modern day chalk and talk. So just got to keep that in mind, what the purpose of our PowerPoint presentation is, and how do we communicate the message that's in the PowerPoint to our students. Are we simply just reading through the PowerPoints? How have we made the PowerPoints? How can people read what's in your PowerPoint? Tonight, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Eric Jioje to help us get some tips and tricks of how to make our PowerPoints interesting, how to make our PowerPoints exciting and engaging with your students. Eric is a senior lecturer at the FNU in the Food and Beverages Department. He is the head of the Nandi campus. And this evening, Eric is actually, especially in his office, not at home, to do this presentation. Eric, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking that extra effort and, going to your office at this time of the night, especially to do this presentation. Thank you, Eric, so much. And I'm sure on behalf of all our audience, I really thank you and appreciate what you are doing there for us tonight. Eric, I will hand it over to you now. You're muted, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I'm most humbled by this invitation. I'd like to thank Sharma and his team for reaching out, and I would also like to welcome all colleagues who are on this session with me. To be honest, and I mentioned this with Mr. Sharma, that I was a bit nervous when he approached, but then my wife sort of edged me on, and said that I need to share this, with our educators, if I can put it that way. And so here I am. But before we start, I'd like to sort of make a disclaimer. I'm not an expert in PowerPoint, but I'm willing to share how I conduct my lectures on campus with some of our students. The things that you will see tonight is slightly different to what is normally taught or projected on PowerPoint, and this has been self-taught, if I can put it that way. To put that in a bit of a perspective, I have been teaching in, if I say FIT, during the FIT days and FNU. I have been here for over 20 years in training, and as Mr. Sharma has said, I'm more of a practical person, so I use a lot of my hands. So during the course of my presentation, you'll be seeing me with hand gestures and stuff. So please bear with me. And in terms of the use of PowerPoint, I have been sort of tweaking, if I can say it, tweaking a lot of my presentations for the last 5 to 10 years. And again, these are all self-taught. And one of the highlights of using PowerPoint, if I can share here before we actually get into the presentation, is that I have been tasked to coordinate or to lecture 2 of our programs that had very low numbers. When I say low numbers, I mean students, low number of students, taking up those courses. Over the years, it has been averaging around 15 to 20 students. Okay. So since I took over those 2 courses, running those 2 courses, the numbers went from last year from 20 to 40 students. That was last year, and this year I have a total of over 100 students attending my courses. So again, that's the power of presentation, how you present, how you portray yourself. So I will cover all of that during our session today. So I'll just share. Okay. Can you all see the screen? Are you able to see the screen? Okay.
Yes, Eric, that's good.
All right, here we go. So I have been since Mr. Sharma has approached me in taking this conduct this presentation. I have spent a week or so trying to come up with what to show and what to present. So this is the opening slide. Now the topic of discussion for today, I have when Mr. Sharma used the PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint, I really had to think twice, and I had to do a lot of research, if I can put it that way. So I came up with these 3 main, these 5 main topics of discussion that we're going to have today. The first one is, what is a PowerPoint presentation? We'll be looking at death by PowerPoint, what it means, how you can avoid it. And to the last one, which is 10 basic PowerPoint presentation rules. Okay, the first one. Now, what I'm going to be doing, I'll be going over this, the theoretical part, if I can put it that way, in the next, hopefully 30 to 40 minutes. And then we will take a break and then I'll show you the practical component of it. So the first point is, what is PowerPoint presentation? Now, I think what you can see there is, it's self-explanatory. PowerPoint is a complete presentation graphic package. It gives you everything you need to produce a professional looking presentation. PowerPoint offers word processing, outlining, drawing, graphic presentation management tools that makes your presentation looks more attractive, and also at the same time you can portray that message to your audience. Okay, the following gives you a quick overview of what you can do in PowerPoint. When you create a presentation using PowerPoint, the presentation is made up of a series of slides, as I think what you are seeing now. In addition to slides, you can print audience handouts, outlines, and speaker notes. Now, during the practical session, if I can put it that way, now if you look at the cursor, now note if I take the cursor onto the picture, you see it changes. Now that is the hyperlink that is linked to this presentation. So if I'm going to click on that, next. Now there is a handout. If I can stop share, I'll pull out the handout. Oh dear. Now this is one of the drawbacks. Okay. Now this is linked to a handout, which I normally do, that accompanies the PowerPoint slide. So, and you'll also notice at the bottom here where it says audience handouts. This is linked to a video type presentation, where I have converted this PowerPoint presentation to a video type presentation, which is easy for students to read and they can follow. Okay. Now, what is death by PowerPoint and how to easily avoid it? Okay, according to some estimates, there are as many as 300 million PowerPoint users, and this is normally done on a daily basis. I think if you look at what COVID has done, it has changed the dynamics of education. So now, if you look at I think the Ministry of Education, they are trying to get students to go online, as what some of the universities are doing. The use of this media platform like Zoom and the use of PowerPoint presentation, it is now a requirement in most universities. FNU is no exception. Okay, it doesn't require anyone to use, any one of us to have an IQ of 200 to know how messed up most of these presentations tend to be. Okay, I think Mr. Sharma has alluded to that earlier on. You know, when you go to some of these lectures, it's so heavily text. You know, sometimes it's boring. You know, and just imagine students, how are they feeling? Moving on, it says, and leading to this phenomenon, the death by PowerPoint. Okay. As is obvious from the term itself, death by PowerPoint implies a really bad presentation. Okay, this might include heavy text-heavy slides, confusing graphics. Okay, I think a lot of the mathematicians or economists, they use a lot of these graphics, and it kind of diverts the attention of the audience. And then you have presenters coming up with 50 slides, and it's heavily text, and that's boring. And then it's marred by technical glitches. I think what we have just experienced just a while ago, I'm trying to access a PDF file that is linked to that, and this is what happens. Okay, so my apologies for that. To make it simple, death by PowerPoint refers to a boring, sleeping PowerPoint presentation, and on top of that, the presenter is not engaging enough. However, the term might also be usually associated with other presentation applications to highlight a horrible presentation in general. Okay, that is why if you see a lot of the presentation that I have, it's have a combination of both text and animated pictures. Okay, how to avoid this? While it's easy to criticize a car manufacturer when there is an accident, the driver needs to be held accountable. Well, it's not only the driver. Okay, being a TVET instructor, someone who has been testing and using PowerPoint tools for more than 2 decades, and I've alluded to that in our earlier discussion. In fact, there is still no perfect alternative to PowerPoint. Now, that is quite true. I can attest to that. I'm a practical person by trade, and a lot of our skills require demonstration, and that is normally done in practical classes. So we take a lot of pictures, we take a lot of video clips, we bring that back into the lecture classroom, and that's presented, and we try and sort of analyze what went wrong during practical and how it can be improved. That is done on the floor as well, and at the same time we can also incorporate a lot of these short video clips with our presentation as well. Okay, whether you love it or hate it, the chances are you'll be using it, and that's a given. Looking at the current situations that we are in, you'll have to look for ways and means to engage your students, and how you can do that to capture their attention. And that pretty much sums up the universal need for PowerPoint that millions of users tend to have, but many of them get lost in translation. I don't mean to be rude, but a lot of these older presenters, they come with a very standard type, PowerPoint presentation, and they tend to rattle off, rather than sticking to what they're supposed to be, sharing or discussing. Moreover, there are also some technical aspects worth considering to avoid failing to deliver at the moment of truth. And again, I think we've kind of experienced that just a while ago. Again, you will notice I have this in a lot of my presentations, especially during the class. Most of our classes, our lecture classes, are scheduled for 2 hours, and there is no way you can run a class for 2 hours without taking a break. So I normally have this to sort of break the ice, and get students to take a break. A lot of them, they like that, and it kind of sort of reaffirms or brings them back. So they'll take a break, come back, have a giggle, have a coffee or something, and then we'll move from there. Now, I have been doing a lot of research in this, the 10 golden rules. Some of them are sort of contradicting, if I can say it, as we've alluded to earlier on. A lot of some of the text is, some of our slides are heavily text, and you will note as we discuss and go along in our presentation, what is said and what I've presented here does not match, or it does not gel. True. Excuse me. Now, this is one of the 10 basic rules, which is know your audience and why is it important to know, and why is it important to know your audience. Now, what I'm sharing here is what I have done with my students. Knowing your audience. A lot of my students are pretty young, and for them to concentrate, they don't have a very good concentration span. So you'll have to devise your lectures or your presentation to suit them. Now, I will not use this if I have to present a PhD thesis or a master's thesis. It's totally different. Again, you will not use this type of presentation for somebody who is in, I don't know, primary school maybe, or secondary school. So again, you have to know, your audience in order to reach out or to get the attention span, right? So that they are locked into you. And a lot of what I have found, over the years, most of us, we are very pictorial. We associate things with pictures. So if you can link an important point with a picture, that helps to sort of gain or bring their attention back onto what you are trying to share with them. So again, if you look at the last point there, by knowing more about them than their wants, needs, and values, you are able to better craft your message so that they will receive it in a way that you intended. Okay, so again, this, you have to know your audience, different style. Okay, but like I said, for me, this is how I present my lectures for my student. Okay, you will need to, for us individual as educators, you will need to sort of gauge what your audience need or what they want. Okay. Moving on number 2, planning. This is one of the most important phase, in trying to set up your PowerPoint for your presentation, and for, in terms of your lectures. As I've mentioned earlier on, I've been doing PowerPoint presentations for my lectures for the last 5 to 10 years. And, there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of planning that goes into, into creating this. There's a reason behind that. And also, it, as a teacher, it gives teachers the opportunity to think deliberately about the choice of lesson objectives, the types of activities that will meet these objectives, the sequence of these activities. As you would have noticed, the sequence of the slides, what goes first, what comes. And, as you are presenting, before you present, you'll need to rehearse, So there's a lot of thinking that goes behind this. Okay. How long each activity might take, how to group the students, all that can be done. Moving on to point number 3, be creative, and you need to be creative. You need to have creative ideas, because if that is shown on your PowerPoint slides, that will pique the students' interest, and they'll say, okay, if this is what our teacher is doing, if this is what our lecturers are doing, maybe, we can follow suit, so to speak. As it says there, assigning classwork involving creativity are more likely to observe higher order cognitive skills, problem solving, creative thinking, making connections between subjects in their students. So if you are able to do that, you are winning, the hearts and minds of your student. The next one is the KISS rule, okay, which means keep it simple. Implies that the system that are simple works best. Again, this is very counterintuitive, if I can put it that way. By applying the KISS rule, you can ensure that your presentations are not stuffed with unnecessary content. But if you look at this is pretty, sort of pretty stuffed up. It's pretty congested. Okay, but as we go along, you'll see there's some that is heavily text, heavy content, some that is very light content. So again, you'll need to mix and match depending on how you're going to present your lectures. By applying the KISS rule, you can ensure that your presentation are not stuffed with unnecessary content, that you can present more information using less content. In other words, don't complicate your slide, keep them simple and easy to present. Okay. Also make sure that your content can be simple enough to be easily understood by your audience. Okay. Moving on to point number 5. Again, like I said, this rule, don't stuff your slides, follow the 166 rule. This again, that rule, again, as I mentioned, it will apply at a different setting. If you're presenting your PhD thesis or your master's thesis, or you're presenting to the CEO of a company or board of directors, then your slides will be different. Again, like I said, my slides is different because my audience, are young adults coming into tertiary, so you need to have that, that fine balance. And you don't want, a slide that is not very, if I can use very scanty, have scanty or less populated slide, then again, it becomes boring. It's not engaging, so again, like I said, you need to find that balance, okay, between what you're presenting, the message that you're trying to put across to your audience. Moving on to point 6, use animation and transition with modesty. Okay, so again, because of this this webinar or this presentation, some of us might think, okay, looks like he's gone overboard. Okay, fair enough. I may have gone overboard, but again, the message here is trying to, gauge. Maybe if I have to run another one and I see the feedback, my presentation will be slightly different. But because this is the first time I'm doing this, okay, it's some of the slides are heavily populated, and the animations are a fair bit, but then again, you can adjust as you go along. And again, I think everybody, I think you can read the message. I think it's self-explanatory. Okay. Moving on to point 7. Keep it fast-paced. When I say fast-paced, I'm not alluding to driving fast or anything, as the picture, as the animated picture depicts. That I'm trying to grab your attention maybe, and also the uh, the presentation of your slides. Keep it fast, but not too fast that everything that you are sharing in terms of imparting knowledge, it flies over the top of students' head, that they don't know what you're trying to say. Say it, you present it in such a way that it's easy for the students to grasp, and at the same time you're picking up your pace. Again, the wording is quite self-explanatory, and if you want, I think you can ask Mr. Sharma if this slide can, or this PowerPoint can be shared. I don't mind sharing this with everybody. Moving on to point number 8. Use the right PowerPoint templates. Again, this, you can find this anywhere on the web. The use of these templates. Even you can create your own. The one that I'm currently using, it's a very standard one that you'll get on any laptop or any computer. It's just the addition of all these animations and stuff. That was all done by me. Okay, PowerPoint templates are a blessing to have. Many of us presenters won't last very long without them, which is absolutely true. Good PowerPoint presentation templates not only saves time, but also provide the utility to design, custom design with little effort. Okay, there's a whole millions of them you can find over the web, or even the computer systems that you have. Moving on to rule number 9, using a storytelling with descriptive images. Now, this is where I'm coming from. As I've mentioned earlier on in our discussion, a lot of our students are very, pictorial. They relate to pictures, and again, if you're able to share or even to relate, because the nature of the university or my program, a lot of my presentation, I have to use a lot of work-related, industry-related, stories, and try and link it, with what you are trying to present. Okay, as the point, goes on to states, no one wants to be bombarded with loads of statistical data and boring, sales pitches, but everyone likes a good story. So hopefully, if you are able to do that, link your presentation with real life, experience, and use, real life examples. That in itself, it's captivating, and it will stay with students. A lot of the students who have graduated over the years, a lot of them have come back, come back for a holiday, they come looking for their lecturers, and they come, acknowledging the things that we have shared with them. Okay. And the last one is, give your audience something to relate to. As I've mentioned earlier on, when you are sharing, your lectures, or you sharing a story, that's I would say that's 3/4 of the battle. You've won, where you are able to capture, the students, attention, and you are able to relate to real life situations. And when you have a good presentation, a good slide presentation, it stays, psychologically, it stays with them, and they are able to relate, they're able, to talk and share. Like I said, in my introduction, a lot of my, I was given two courses, to handle, because the numbers were so low. And since I, took over those courses, the numbers have went up. So again, the students, they talk, they said, why don't you go to his class? His lectures are very, are very well structured, and he uses a lot of real life examples, those sort of things, so again, that's with you personally, in doing this, if the student sees your PowerPoint presentation and the amount of work that you've put in, that in itself shows that, I don't know, the commitment, the passion that you have. Maybe, I'm not too sure, but then again, you'll need to create something, to grab the students, to grab the students' attention. So I think that brings us to a short presentation on what we have just discussed. And is there any questions?
Please feel free to unmute your mic, and if you have a question, have an observation, something for Eric. No, you're all good. Eric, I think you've done just a fantastic job there. I think people have really got what you're presenting. I'm really carried away, blown away by some of the things you're presenting to us. So yeah, good, interesting stuff for all of us to learn, Eric.
Thank you. So yeah, that's the first session. Now we'll go to the second part. If Mr. Sharma, if you permit me to do the second part.
Yes, please carry on, Eric.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, for this, for the second session, okay, here we are. Now, for the second session, this is a sort of demo. This is the demo part of the created presentation that I've made. Now, if you look at this, the first part is that you'll need to have your written article ready. If you note during the presentation, I said you'll need to have you need to plan. You need to plan ahead. You need to visualize how you're going to present, what you're going to do, how much text you're going to put. So part of that planning is you need to have your written article ready, or I think in most of our cases, your lecture notes, if I can put it that way. Now, the second part is, as I said, visualize how your presentation will look, which I think we have gone through that. And then you'll need to start looking for pictures, animated pictures, graphs, even if you're going to use what do you call it, the Excel, in your presentation, how you can link that. Okay, and the use so in this one here, the use of the hyperlink in your PowerPoint slides. Okay, so if I move to the next one, it says here, have your articles ready. Now, just for demonstration's sake, I have that this this article that I wrote, and there was a lot of these little notes that I've put up. So if I'm going to say, okay, what is, if, let me put this up. Okay, so if you see here, this is my Word document. These are the some of the little notes that I'm going to put, or that I'm going to add or populate the slides. Okay, they're not, they may look like a paragraph. Okay, it is in a sense it is a paragraph, but then these are what you call a compressed version from the textbook. Okay, you have your main points, and then you have your sub points that you want to talk about, that you want to elaborate on, right? So all I'm going to do is I'll copy, highlight this like so, right click, copy, move on to the PowerPoint. Hold on one second, let me. Mr. Sharma, can you see the PowerPoint slide? No.
Sorry, no, we're seeing the
The
your
Word document?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Now we see your
so
PowerPoint.
okay. So if you go here, draw, put your text box, copy, paste. That's all you need to do. This is taken from the Word document, right? All you need to do is here, and then you can adjust your font size. You can pick and choose what you really want. Okay, now sorry. Okay, here we go. Now, what is the next one? Now the animated bit. How you want this to look. Like, for example, if you can reflect on my presentation, like each point, each slide, how this animation, this thing that runs across, all the words that run across, the pictures that comes up. Okay, it's quite simple. All you need to do is click on that text box that you've got there, go to animation, right? Then you'll have all this. If you can see here, where it says split, floating. Okay, all you need to do is, let's say split, that's how it's going to look. Go to your pen, you'll have this on the side. Okay, then you click and you can either start together with the presentation, add. Okay, and this is, okay, that's how it's going to look. Okay, it's quite simple. Now, in terms of pictures, how do I do this, or where do I get this? It's quite simple. You can get this from the internet. All you need to do is, sorry, I'll have to go to, just give me 1 second. Stop share. Now this is, I'll have to, okay. Now this is, you're going on to your Google page, and then then you just type in GIF. That's all you need to do. Type in GIF. It'll take you to this page. Jiffy animated. That stands for graphic interchange format. Okay, that's all you need to do. Click on that. This page will come up. these are all your animated page. Oh, and there's millions of this you can get. And if you want, let's say rugby, something on rugby. You have millions on anything, right? All you need to do is click on that. This picture comes up. All you need to do is right click. This panel comes up. All you need to do is save image as. When you go to save image as, it'll take you to your laptop on the wherever you want to save. Now, whilst you are trying to save that, do not change the name of the picture or the name where it says name file and save type, save as type. Don't change anything from that, because once you do, then this becomes a picture. It's not animated anymore. It remains as picture. That's one thing that I've found over the years. Okay. So yeah, so that's where I get all my animated pictures from. It's not that I sort of created them. It's available. But on the other hand, you will notice in my presentation after each animated picture, there is a link. Now, for us in academia, we need to acknowledge where we sourced those things from, because remember, we did not, except for your work or some of the things that you have done in terms of the writing content, except for that can be your own, if I can put it that way. Again, in academia, you need to know how to source them. If you see the presentation, I've had a list of references. That is very important. Okay, and if you're using animated pictures or any picture for that matter, and you are using it in your lecture presentation, you need to know where you need to acknowledge where you sourced that from. So again, all I did was go to the top where I think it's that the toolbar thingy, copy that whole thing and create the text box at the bottom, paste, and that's one way of acknowledging the source of your item. Okay, and if I can bring back the screen share. Now, in terms of hyperlink, and you're trying to integrate from PowerPoint to Word, again, it's quite simple. All you need to do is click on the picture or anything that you've got there. Right click. You'll come here to hyperlink. This, click on that, and then it'll give you the places where the document that you want linked. So if let's say if I want to stress a point in an article, a journal article, or something that the student needs to read, all I do is click on that. Okay. So during your presentation, you will notice, you'll see the cursor. See, it changes. When you click in a normal face-to-face, that as soon as you click on that picture or whatever you've got that linked on, it'll take you straight to the Word document or whatever other article that you are linking it with. Now, that is the PowerPoint interaction phase. Now, the other thing that I was wanting to bring up or to show earlier on, and which I was having a lot of problems with, one second, let me see if I can get this. Okay. Now, this is the, I pulled this out from one of my lecture slides. And this is what I normally give to my students as an accompanying document. Apart from the PowerPoint presentation that I'm presenting, I normally convert my PowerPoint presentation as an accompanying document, and I convert this to PDF. This is uploaded or given together as a package to the students. So when the students, they come, they print this, okay, they print this out, they come to class, and whilst I'm going through the presentation by slide, and if they need to jot down some information, they can do it on this, okay? Now, the other thing that I would like to show you is okay, 1 second. Now, the other thing that I would like to show you here is this. Now, this is I have converted my PowerPoint presentation into a 5-minute video clip. Now, this is a video clip that is also uploaded, you know, for students. Whenever, you know, if they are not doing anything or they are wanting to read, you know, they can watch this. They can either watch it, and also after the lecture, my lectures are converted to audio. So that is normally uploaded and accompanied with this. So as the student is listening to the audio, they are also watching this. You know, so this is some of the things that that I do with a lot of my lecture classes, and that you can, to convert that to video, all you need to do is go to File on your PowerPoint, go to File, go to Export. Sorry. Okay, this is the PowerPoint that I would like to convert. All you need to do is go to File, right? Click on File at the corner there, go down to Export, click on Export. You will have this, right? Click on Video, create a video, and you just need to either, you want a high definition, low definition, and this is where I was saying the audio. So I normally put the audio together with this, so it kind of goes simultaneously, right? And then click on create video, and it does the rest for you. So those are some of the things that I have sort of learned over the years, and that is what I normally give out to students whenever they enroll into my program. They get the PowerPoint slides, they get the PDF where they can write down short notes, even the video with the audio that is also uploaded for students for their, you know, for their record, and also for their studies when it comes towards the end of the semester. So that is all I have at the moment, unless we have any questions from the audience.
We open the floor. Anybody would like to ask Eric on any of the things that he has presented? Or if you yourself know something that you would like to share with us that Eric probably hasn't covered. Isimeli, did you want to open up your microphone and your video if you want, and just ask, you have a question?
Thank you so much, Mr. Eric, for the informative presentation. Just a question about, animation of text. Animation of text. How can you actually, sometimes when we see a presentation, some texts, they are always, shining throughout the whole presentation until you move to the next slide. How can you actually do that when it's like beeping or changing colors or something like that?
Oh, you mean the like, for example, the line?
Yeah.
Are you?
I mean, if there's a really important word that you would like to highlight, and then you actually keep it highlighted, and it's like,
Oh, you want that flashing thingy?
yeah, flashing thing. Yeah.
You go to that website, that GIF website, and you can type in the text or whatever, and you'll get a whole millions of them in whatever. Like, for example, important notice, right? If, let's say, for example, you want to say important notice, all you need to do, and you want it in an animated form, all you need to do, just go down to that website, that GIF website, go into that, click on that box at the top, very important notice, punch on that, and you'll get a whole list of it. And you just have to pick and choose which one you want.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
That is good. I'll try some of these, Eric, myself. I don't usually use the GIFs, but yeah, that's a very good resource.
Yeah, most of those animated, you can do those. You can create your own animation, but it's time consuming, and you need a very good solid computer, to generate those. Unfortunately, some of the things we can do, because this is not my laptop per se. This belongs to the institute, and there's a lot of things that the institution does not allow us access to. So, but there are some that they allow us access to, and this is one of them. So, but in terms of creating your own, yeah, we can do that, but it's very time consuming. So I'd rather take the easy way out.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Why do the extra work when it's not needed?
True.
So Lakshna, do you want to unmute your mic and maybe put your camera on so we can see who you are, Lakshna?
Good evening, sir. Sorry, I cannot open my video, otherwise I'll lose connection.
That's fine, don't worry.
I just wanted to know if we could create a flip book using PowerPoint.
Yes, I've heard about that. To be honest, I haven't tried that out, but you can. I'll need to do a lot of sort of research on that and trial and error kind of thing. But that is a new concept that's coming around, and to be honest, I haven't tried that at the moment because I'm sort of tied up with other things. But at the moment, I'm just sticking with the simple one at the moment. But obviously, I mean, you can try. But I have not tried that flip book kind of thing. But I know it's around there somewhere.
Try a Google search, Lakshna.
Thank you, sir.
Converting PowerPoint into a flip book. I haven't used it. I'm not aware of it. I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, I'm also a FNU student, and we actually have an assignment on that. So that's why I had that question up.
Which program or which school and which program are you in?
I'm in FNU Samambula, and I'm doing my bachelor's in education ECE with Mrs. Sangeeta Jatan from Latoka campus.
Yep. Nice, excellent.
Nice, very good. Any more questions? Eric, recently, I was part of an action research project at my own school. And we have this thing called PLTs, professional learning teams, where the entire staff of the school gets broken into small groups. And we were given, or we choose a particular topic throughout 2 terms, half a year, for us to do some research and collect data and then use data. And at the end, we had to do a presentation. So the presentation, this was something new that we had come across. We were supposed to, I'll write this word down in the chat. It's called Pecha Kucha. I'm not sure if this is the first time I came across myself. We were introduced to this concept. I'll just put it on there. It's called Pecha Kucha. A Pecha Kucha is, while you're presenting, I thought, wow, this is what exactly we just did this. We just did this 2 weeks ago. A Pecha Kucha is a storytelling format where you do a presentation in a storytelling format where you only use 20 slides and each slide is only meant to be for 20 seconds. So when you're presenting this, wow, this is Pecha Kucha I just did at my work. So it's a presentation in a storytelling form of 20 slides, and you're only meant to use each slide for 20 seconds. I thought I'll just share that with you. Now that's really good. Sharing us those 10 rules. I think they're really important. I think you've really nailed it when you say your PowerPoint needs to be professional. I thought that was a very key point that you made, because what we don't want to do is to copy sections of our textbook and put it on our slide. We don't want to just copy and paste or snip tool a section of your textbook or something and then just put that on your PowerPoint. Any other question? I'm just mindful, Eric. Eric has, as I said at the start, he's sitting at his work, especially to do this particular presentation. And we don't want you to get caught out in the curfew there, Eric. I'll
send you the bill.
Yep, that's all right. Any other question? Eric, please email me the PowerPoint. I will put this PowerPoint on our website. Together with the recording of today's presentation, we'll also put it up on our website as well. Anushka, did you want to say something?
Thank you, sir. On behalf of all the participants that are present here tonight, I would like to thank Mr. Eric for the wonderful and the detailed presentation that he has taught us today, especially on how to create such a lively PowerPoints. So it has been a very informative session. It's true, sir, Mr. Sharma, that PowerPoints need to be professional. And I'm sure that all the teachers that have participated in the session today, definitely they'll make a change in their PowerPoint presentations from today. Thank you so much, Mr. Eric. Requesting if you could also provide your email so that in future, while we teachers are modifying our PowerPoints, and if we need some further clarification, can we please contact you? Thank you so much, Mr. Eric.
Okay, I'll put my email address on the chat box. Okay, it's on the chat box, so you can ask the admin if for the detail, but absolutely I'll forward you the Mr. Sharma. I'll forward you the slides,
the
and
PowerPoint.
the
Just email it to us at My Teachers Fiji. That will be good. I will put it up on our website.
Absolutely.
No. All right. Thank you, Eric, again. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you, putting so much effort in making this PowerPoint presentation about PowerPoints. And please go home safely. You got another 40, 50 minutes to get home.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Colleagues, thank you very much for listening. And I do apologize if I've taken much of your time, but please, again, feel free to get in touch with me if you need any help in this area, and I'll be most willing to help out. Again, I have passion for as an educator. I was kind of forced into this field, but gone to love it. So yeah, please feel free. If not, you can come and see. If you're around Suva, come and see me at Nasese campus. I'm based at Nasese campus for 2 days, and then I move back to Nandi for 3 days. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening and keep safe. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone.